Wanted to make this video today because I know that there are a lot of people who are wanting to reduce their phone time and spend less time attached to a device this year and just going forward in general. A lot of my friends right now are struggling with that and expressing a desire to not be so attached. And it got me thinking about my experience. And I would have said, if you'd asked me previously, like, how long have you been working to reduce your screen time? I'd have said, oh, here and there for a couple years, maybe doing a couple experiments. But I realized in thinking back that the first time I can remember doing something about my phone was actually 6 years ago. So it takes time to detach. Um, because of my lifestyle, just traveling around, living all over the world, I can pinpoint, certain times based on where I was and what was happening. And I remember it being pre-pandemic, and I was in Ecuador, so it was 2019, and I decided to take a week off of my phone and just not use my phone. And I was living kind of in city center, so I could walk to a coffee shop. I could, do little things without having to be on my phone. And I just wanted to see if I could do that. Um, and I remember, like, it's kind of like one of those things when you decide at student life throw something away. I remember meeting someone and us trying to make plans. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to have my phone on me. So yeah, Thursday at 7. Like, I guess I'll see you there or I won't, but if you need to cancel, I'm not checking my phone. So, that was the first time I can remember trying to live life without the phone, and it worked. The person I was meeting did show up, but I I had a plan for it anyway. Like, I'm usually I loved having a book with me wherever I go, no matter what, and so my thought process was, if they don't show up, I guess I just won't know what happened to them, kinda like back in the day, and I'll still have a pint, and I will read my book, and it'll be a nice evening out. Um, but yeah, it was just this retro kind of feeling of doing things the old school way. And another thing that stands out about that time is that it was not a perfect week. I did go on my phone. I ordered takeaway and um yeah, but was it a failed experiment? No. I was trying to not use my phone for the week, and then I did use it once to order food and then once to order a taxi, but for the most of that week I stayed off my phone. And ever since then, I realized some bigger, some smaller, but I have been doing different experiments at different times in my life just when I feel like the phone begins to take over my life. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, sometimes I am so fed up and just have this, I just call it a sludgy feeling of being on my phone too much, and it helps me to easily just detox from it. Other times it is hard and it is inconvenient, but because, I think in life we go through seasons. So sometimes I have my very outgoing season, and sometimes I have my very introverted season. And I've been in my introverted season like since COVID. So, um, but like, and COVID actually led me to do my first, I think, 30-day detox completely. Like, in January of 2021, I took a full month off of my phone. I turned it off and didn't turn it on for 30 days. And yeah, that was amazing. It was amazing. I had told people ahead of time that I was doing that they could email me if they needed to get a hold of me. There's always that fear of like, what if an emergency happens? What if something happens? And the reason that was a great time to do it was because not a lot was going on. There weren't people making plans. I was in Ecuador at the time. It was very closed down still, very strict regulations. So it wasn't like I was missing out on a bunch of social plans. And also, I had a roommate at the time. So that gave a lot of sense of security. Like, if something grave happened, either in the world or locally, my roommate was there. So no one needed to get a hold of me, really. And that was really good, but I've always found with these detoxes that a detox is great, but how do you make it work in the real world? How do you live with no phone in the real world, right? It's to each their own. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not something that I necessarily want to do. And I think that can be frustrating because a lot of times when I go to look for other people's advice on what they're doing, um, I'll get frustrated by videos of just like, I didn't use my phone for 30 days, and I'm literally saying, I just I'm saying that I did that. But I did that at a very specific time when the world was in a very weird place. How do you do it in modern life? I've seen people like, "Oh, I went, off into the woods for 30 days." Like, yeah, that's cool. I don't have any woods handy to go and detox. Or I saw somebody that went to a monastery. Like, cool. I'm not knocking that. That sounds amazing. But I don't have a monastery handy. I don't have a plan for how to return to life after a monastery, you know? So I want to hopefully share some of my experience in a way that integrates it with everyday life. I nomad around the world. I need my travel apps. I enjoy having them. I enjoy being able to get off a plane and book an Uber and have it ready and waiting, and off we go. There are lots of conveniences, but I do think it's important to learn how to live with less in some ways and use the phone as a tool. Just like, I think this isn't my idea. I got it from other people that I've listened to or read over the years. The book Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport was a good start. I've read that multiple times over the years. But when I think of using my phone like a tool, I think of my kitchen and a saucepan. And I use a saucepan for a very specific function when I need to cook something. I'm not walking around all day with a saucepan. I am not using it to, I don't know, try to sweep the floor or try to watch TV on. It's a very specific tool for a very specific function. And I think of my phone and what I'm trying to build with my phone as the same. Building a relationship with my phone where I pick it up to do very specific things at very specific times, and that's it. I might use my saucepan once a day to cook dinner, usually, really. And so getting the phone to that as well, just reducing it to live within a container, basically. And I will do some more videos on some of the things that I've found useful over the years with reducing time. But I guess in this video, the main point that I want to make is just that it takes time. It takes time. And, if you start today, it may not be where you want it to be in 30 days. It may not be where you want it to be in 6 months. But if you keep going at it, it will be where you want it to be over time. Because I'm in a really good place with my phone. I really am. And it feels good to say that. And I think that this year is going to get even better, in the sense of just using it less and less and less. But I don't think I would have realized that it had taken this long unless I look back at that day that day in 2019 and realize that that was the first time I can remember starting the journey. So, get started. Start today because it takes time. It takes a while, and but it's possible. It's possible. I know if you're young and you're watching this that you may not remember time without your phone, but if you are a millennial like me, if you're born in the 80s, 90s, you remember life before the phone. I mean, it's really hard to bust out some old pictures, and we were there. We were doing it. We were living it. We were running around. We were doing all kinds of things without being attached to our phones. For me, not 20, 2006, I did a whole study abroad. I gallivanted around other countries without a phone. And I mean, yeah, looking back, I have no idea how I did it. But it's possible. We can actually live without our attention being sucked away by our phones. So please, just give it a try. And I'll have some more videos coming on, yeah, some of the different things that I do to make it easier. But yeah, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching.